Sorry. Good morning, family. Welcome to CSW Morning Devotion. Today is Thursday, April 4th. Let's begin by greeting our beloved Heavenly Parent and true parents. 전지인 전 부모님께 경배. 바로 Now for our family pledge, let's welcome Pastor Milhan Stevens.
가정맹세 1. 자녀극 주인 우리 가정은 참 사랑을 중심하고 원향 땅을 찾아 본연의 창조의 상인 지상 천국과 천국을 창건할 것을 맹세하나이다. 2. 자녀극 주인 우리 가정은 참 사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님을 모시어 천주의 대표적 가정이 되며 중심적 가정이 되어 가정에 서는 효자, 국가에 서는 중심, 천주에 서는 성자의 가정의 도리를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 3. 자녀극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 4대 심정권과 3대 원권과 황족권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 4. 자녀극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님의 창조의 상인 전주대 가족을 형성하여 자유와 평화와 통일과 행복의 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 5. 자녀극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 매일 주체적 천상세계와 대상적 지상세계의 통일을 향해 선진적 발전을 촉진화할 것을 맹세하나이다. 6. 자녀극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참부모님의 대신 가정으로서 자녀를 움직이는 가족이 되어 하늘의 축복을 주변에 연결시키는 가정을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 7. 자녀극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 본연의 효통과 연결된 위하는 생활을 통하여 심정문화 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 8. 자녀극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 자녀극 시대를 맞이하여 절대신앙, 절대사랑, 절대복종으로 신인의 일체의 상을 이루어 지상천국과 천상천국의 해방권과 석방권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Thank you, Pastor Milhan. Tomiko Holmitz, could you please offer the opening prayer for us today? Tomiko-san.
Oh,
Thank you.
Parents, morning to mother, morning to everybody. Yes, in America we start a new day. Then we report what we do. Then please guide every day, each moment through this okay. We can carry God's word all day. And I report don't commit as breast center family. Adieu.
Jill. Thank you, Tomiko-san. Thank you. All right, family, now it's time for our Honjuke reading. We're reading from the Mother of Peace, our True Mother's Memoir, And we're up to episode 12. Pastor Milhan.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Tomoki-san. Great prayer. Do we have a volunteer reader this morning?
I can read today if nobody else is volunteered.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Mother of Peace, episode 12, chapter 2. I came into this world as the only begotten daughter. As was expected to happen sooner or later, World War II finally came to an end with Japan's defeat. Korea enjoyed the liberation its people had long desired, but the North soon fell under communist rule. The communist oppression of religion knew no bounds. There are always people who betray others. Even Jesus had a treacherous disciple. The Inside the Womb Church was not spared. One of its members accused the group of amassing wealth, and the communist police took Ho Ho Bin and many of her followers to Daedong Police Station in Pyongyang. Security agents interrogated Ho Ho Bin harshly and mocked her. When is this Jesus who is inside your womb going to come out? Ho Ho Bin boldly answered, he will come out in a few days. The white-clad members of the church offered prayers every day in front of the prison gates. Even after a year, the prisoners had not been released. That was the time that Father Moon, who had been living in Seoul, journeyed to Pyongyang. It was in August of 1946 that he opened a meeting room in the Gyeongchang-ri district of the city and began witnessing. The police accused Father Moon of being a spy for South Korean President Syngman-rhee and imprisoned him in the jail in which Ho Ho Bin and her followers were being held. The sad fact is that the imprisoned members of the Inside the Womb Church failed to recognize that Father Moon was the returning Lord. During his imprisonment of 100 days, he contacted Ho Ho Bin several times, but she refused to listen to him. Father Moon was eventually thrown out on the brink of death due to severe torture. Most members of the Inside the Womb Church died under the same torture. Those who survived scattered when the Korean War broke out in 1950, some remaining in the north, some fleeing to the south. This history illustrates the fate of those who receive heaven's revelation and do not fulfill their responsibility. The sole purpose of those groups was to welcome the Lord at the second advent, and they knew this was their mission and declared it. For that purpose, this group, to which my mother belonged, had endured unbelievably difficult hardships. But they failed when their concept of the Lord blinded them to the reality of the Lord. Participating wholeheartedly in such groups, my grandmother and mother lived with devout faith in order to receive the Lord. For long years, they sincerely believed the prophecy that the only begotten Son, the Savior of the world, will come to the land of Korea. They offered single-minded devotion with unsurpassed zeal and purity. They never compromised with the world or stayed comfortably at home. They served God with heart and soul. Participating in my grandmother and mother's walk on the path of suffering to receive the Lord, I inherited the essence of their faith. Because they made whatever sacrifice was needed on the path of God's will, the only begotten daughter, for whom Heavenly Parent had long waited, and yet of whom the world was ignorant, was born on this earth in the third generation of their family. I was born into this intensely spiritual family in an intensely spiritual milieu and grew up in constant rapport with God, who taught me the mission that was unknown to them, the mission of the Mother of the Universe. Worlds divide at the 38th parallel. You came here to see your mother? The guard asked this question as a formality. He knew why I was there, because I came every day. Yes, sir, I would respond in my soft voice. Wait here, he would say in a fatherly tone. I'll call her for you. Would you like a candy? In 1948, when the oppression of religions by North Korea's Communist Party was at its height, my mother and grandmother were imprisoned for nearly 2 weeks for being members of the Inside the Womb Church. I was 5 years old at the time, and I would go to the prison to see my mother. The guards were nice to me because I was polite and well behaved. Even those ruthless communists gave me fruit or candy when they saw me. I cannot explain why the authorities released both of them, as the party was increasing its suppression of religious activities. Perhaps it was out of their concern for me. The good result was that the imprisonment convinced my grandmother that to live a peaceful life, let alone a life of faith, they had to go to South Korea. Since Hyo Ho-bin was still in prison, my mother was of two minds about it, but grandmother persuaded her to go. If we stay here, she reasoned, we will die before we meet the Lord. Once we are in South Korea and have met up with Sun Jung, the right way will appear. The mention of her younger brother, my uncle Hong Sun Jung, who was preparing to be a medical practitioner in the South, swayed my mother. She mounted a last protest as she gave in. How can we go there with no destination? We don't even have a place to stay. Grandmother took a deep breath and said firmly, we still must go. God will protect us. My grandfather did not join us. Like many, he had received the revelation that Pyongyang was the palace of Eden, and he was determined to remain there to guard it. Nonetheless, he encouraged his wife and daughter to leave for the South. Because her purpose in life was to meet the Lord at the Second Advent in Pyongyang, my mother had to pray for several days and nights before finally agreeing to go to South Korea, and she went on the condition that it would be temporary. As good luck would have it, we received the news that Uncle Sun Jung had completed his studies in Japan and in Seoul and had joined the South Korean army. My uncle was an intellectual and a dapper young man. Moreover, he was very strong-minded. My grandmother missed her only son and wished very much to see him. In addition, she wanted to protect me, her granddaughter, at all costs. She wanted to prevent my being taken by the cruel communists and made to suffer at their hands. She was sincere when she told me repeatedly over the years, you are God's true daughter. Her mission in life was to protect me from the misfortunes of the world. Along the most people in the North, my family believed that North Korea's Communist Party would not last long. We expected that after a short stay in South Korea, we would see the downfall of the communists and be able to return home. As history shows, this dream was not to be realized. After we crossed the 38th parallel, we never considered returning to the North. Looking back, I believe that God worked through my grandmother's affectionate heart for her son and granddaughter. When all is said and done, a mother's parental heart reflects God's motherly heart. Excuse me. It is dark now, my mother whispered. Let's go. It was the autumn of 1948, and we left our home in the middle of the night, my mother carrying me on her back and my grandmother carrying a couple of bundles. It is quite a distance from Anju to the 38th parallel, 200 kilometers, 125 miles, as the crow flies. We had to walk for days and days to cover that distance. And we took every step on that journey with anxiety, fearing for our lives. At night, we slept in empty houses, and when the morning dew fell, we would start again. Our shoes were flimsy, and the roads were rough, and so our feet ached from the very start. What was hardest to endure was the hunger. We would knock on the doors of shabby cottages and give them something from our bundles in exchange for food, which was usually a cup of boiled barley and rice. Undergoing such hardships, we walked and walked endlessly southward. The communists had plowed the fields and broken up the shoulders of roads to make such a journey even more difficult. Our feet sank into mud as we walked through the fields, and we shivered all over with cold. Still, we continued on, looking only at the starlight. North Korean People's Army soldiers were blocking the 38th parallel, and they easily captured my mother, grandmother, and me. They locked us up in a shed, together with other frightened people who had the same intention as we did. The soldiers were rough with the men, but they did not treat women and children harshly. One day, one of the adults asked me to take food to the soldiers standing watch. Though my heart trembled inside, I forced a smile and handed the food to the soldiers. After I had done so several times, the soldiers' hearts softened, and one night they set my family free. They instructed us to return to our hometown, and we walked out of their sight in that direction. And then, as we stood at the crossroads between life and death, night fell, and we waited, and heaven sent a young man to guide us on the path of life. Under the cover of darkness, we followed him across the 38th parallel. As we crossed, I was so happy that I said to Mother, "We don't have to sing songs praising Kim Il-sung anymore, do we?" I will sing a song from the southern part of Korea. This too was God's intervention, for on the South Korean side, soldiers also were keeping a strict watch. I sang a few lines of the song with a joyous heart. At that moment, we heard a rustling in the bushes in front of us. We were surprised and stood frozen in place, fearful that we would be captured by North Korean soldiers once again. Soldiers emerged from the bushes, South Koreans. At the sight of them, we almost wilted in relief. Those South Korean soldiers told us that they had heard us as we approached and had been about to fire upon us. When they heard the voice of a child singing, they had lowered their weapons. They welcomed us and comforted us. One soldier said, "It must have been difficult for you to make it all the way here with this beautiful young child. This isn't much, but please take it." We were so grateful to this soldier, whom God moved to give us money, enough to get us to Seoul. Looking back, if I had not sung at that moment, those young soldiers probably would have mistaken us for North Korean soldiers and shot us dead. In this way, once again, God protected us. We arrived safely in South Korea after undergoing hardships such as these. Yet in making that journey, we parted from my grandfather, whom we never saw again. Adieu. Thank you, True Mother.
And Kathleen for reading. How grateful we are. How grateful we are to True Mother for doing this path and inheriting the heart of God. So, how much God would do anything to keep Mother safe. Can't imagine being God and having to watch your only begotten daughter experience these things. Must be so heartbreaking. Any reflections, comments, keywords?
I can imagine down the road in the future that people will be lining up to make movies about these events, these stories. You know, what an incredible story, and I'm sure probably people have already made movies concerning father and mother's journeys, but this particular one is. They've got the script. Everything is there. just have to dramatize it. But, yeah, incredible story.
You. And we definitely need to witness to some producers.
Mm.
I think, yes, there have been attempts, but usually not nearly at the level that we're looking for. There have been books published and that kind of represent true parents as like these, Cold War, behind the scenes work, but yeah, they haven't really. I think there was one group that published a book in Korean, but there was some consideration of getting it translated in English, but didn't go anywhere. I need this is the real John the Baptist of this era, I believe. To have someone do a movie, like a Hollywood level movie over TV series or something.
Mhm.
I know publishing this book was the first step. Once someone has the book that we consider bona fide, so if you make a movie based on this book, then there's hope. Without the book, it's hard for anyone to expect anyone to portray the story accurately.
Mm.
So this book is a major step direction. Sebastian?
Yeah, thank you. And good morning. Thank you, Stevens. And I just want to say thank you to Kathleen. It's so nice to hear your voice and to read along with you. It's so like spring-like, actually. Spring-like.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Walking through the daffodils. What struck me was grandmother Jo-Won Mo being key in deciding to go south and to escape the communists, in a way, be the tool of protection. And that was one thing. The other thing was that from what I understand, usually the lineage kind of appears in the next generation. So it's grandmother and then the granddaughter. And that dynamic kind of shows you more what is in that lineage. And grandmother obviously is the one, for true mother. So I'm very curious to learn more if there's anything about Jo-Won Mo and her character and the picture that we have in the Mother of Peace, and her smiling, and mother standing next to her. It's just like two peas in a pod. Anyway, it's so beautiful. I mean, that. And the last thing that really struck me was mother at the age 5. She had to be alone. Wonder, because grandmother and Daemonim were in prison for 2 weeks. I wonder where she was staying. And then also the fact that she, twice, it was food. It seems like the food that she brought to prison and her appearance there allowed grandmother and the mother to be liberated, to leave. And then also in the South, where they were, on the way down to the 30th parallel, they called by the North Korean communists, soldiers, where again, she was bringing food to the soldiers in this case. It was not for the grandmother and the mother, but for the communists. And they kind of treated her and with a fatherly voice and that kind of thing. It kind of struck me, mother doing that at that 5 years, her whole ministry being a lot about food and environment, making people feel good. So I just was really intrigued by all these elements of reading this morning. Thank you so much.
I thought about that too. When grandmother Jo-Won Mo and Daemonim were imprisoned, I wondered too, who was helping to take care of true mother. She was only 5 years old. She couldn't have been just left on her own. Some neighbor or somebody must have been helping to take care of her. I thought about that a lot.
Yeah, same.
True.
Same here. Probably a neighbor or another church member who was not imprisoned.
Yeah.
she fasted for 2 weeks. Just survived. It's not likely. There's definitely help. But crazy. I mean, I think clearly mother's suffering was enough for those soldiers to release her grandmother.
Yeah, in this passage, where it's written, I inherit around that in the passage that Sister Kathleen read. It says in a paragraph, I inherited the essence of their faith. I mean, of my mother and grandmother, and right there it said, God told me the mission of the mother of the universe, and she was 5 years old. At that time, if we read it, what you were reading that this morning, Sister Kathleen, in a paragraph, it's what I just captured that as you were reading. But it's at that time, Heavenly Parent, what was revealing a lot to True Mother is why she was so strong to be able to go. It takes a special Heavenly Parent's intervention for her to go and be brave enough to face the communist guard and go into prison. First of all, it's very frightening, and visit your not a neighbor, your mother and your grandmother. This why I captured that this morning. It says God told me the mission of the mother of the universe. So True Mother had special encounter at that time, special connection, special power that Heavenly Parent was giving her. That's what that's what I got this morning.
Yeah.
I like that answer. It's very likely mother had that level of understanding at that age.
Otherwise, she would not have been able at 5 years old, to go through everything that she had to go. So she had to walk there hungry, and of course she was taken care of. But she was. As we were talking, somebody was taking care of her. But mostly it was her connection with Heavenly Parent who was dealing with her in a very special way. And I think she will reveal it later, how God intervened in her own life, that she be able to endure what she endured at 5 years old. She's not telling everything in that book. She's just telling God told me the mission of the mother of the universe. It's something I think that will be revealed to us later on.
Yeah. Vera.
So what I was deeply moved by that True Mother could see that no one is really all evil. She could see that even these North Korean communists who, are killing people for no reason, still have a good heart when a little girl comes in front of them and with all her purity and all their goodness is coming out. And that is really like a mother's heart. A mother can always see the goodness of her children and of people. And certainly as a mother of the universe, True Mother has a quietest heart, and she knows that, because there's so much goodness in everyone, just we need to be able to bring it out. And that's how this world can be restored. Everyone can be restored. And also, I think because True Mother had so much faith, she could attribute to God the fact that He was always there to help at every corner, at every turn they took. There was danger, but somehow God always guided them. And I think this is also really an expression of someone's faith Whereas myself, I'm sure I missed many of these things where God was guiding me, and I was oblivious to it because my faith was, and my relationship with God was not so intense and not so real. But because even at that age, through mother's relationship with God, she said, I knew God, I know God. And it's very evident in the way she looks at things and perceives things. And I think that's just really, really so amazing. Yeah. Thanks.
It's true. Thank you.
Mother doesn't have faith. She has a knowingness, or a give and take with God. But God was her father. He would let nothing happen to her. He will kill those people. Anyone who does even these men, these soldiers, like you said, they have redeemable qualities in that they don't harm women and children. But also, if they did anything to harm true mother, they would be smited by the Almighty God. So it's a good thing, I think, for their own sake, that they were not cruel.
Yeah.
So there's a certain level that God will allow mother to experience to inherit God's heart suffering, but He will not let her be harmed. I think that's and I noticed this about certain people with a lot of heavenly fortune. Someone, outwardly might say, oh, look, they're lucky, or oh, they just things that, no, it's heaven's intervention that these people are protected. Sayaka, for example, her father doing all these fasts, developing storing a lot of his ancestry and doing all this work. Sayaka, and I tell you, she's a lucky girl. I see her, some things that she does just effortless. I don't understand. I don't have that kind of luck. But it's not luck. I firmly believe she has a spiritual fortune around her. And I'm just blessed to be blessed to her. And, she's also the only daughter in her family. So, but you can imagine she's very special to be the one delivering the baby of her lineage. So anyway, God ain't gonna let anything happen to true mother. So anyone who does attack true mother is in deep, deep trouble. And I'm glad the Bible made that clear, saying that blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, there is no forgiveness. So I don't want to mess with mother. If you do, you better be willing to pay the price by yourself. You forego any kind of lesser indemnity. You're on your own, bro. Okay, well, maybe that's enough for today.
Yeah, it's quite deep today. Thank you so much, everybody, for your sharing. Thank you. Today is day 21 of our second 40-day special devotional period for a victorious entrance ceremony for the Cheno Sanctum in Cheonwon-gun, leading up to True Parents' holy wedding anniversary. Do we have any prayer requests today? Just like to mention that the Queen's Church is having, the Latin community in the Queen's Church is having a special Divine Principle workshop on the 6th, Saturday. And I put the names of the guests in the prayer list. Tia Monica had asked us to add to pray for her guests, their guests. All right, brothers and sisters, let's begin our 7 minutes resonance prayer with 3 Apogee Omanis.
Countryman Residence Prayer 시작. 아버지, 어머니, 아버지, 어머니, 아버지, 어머니.
Let's pray.
Good morning, Heavenly Parent, and good morning to parents. Heavenly Parent and true
Thank you
parents,
for
we pray
this
for
brand
true
new day.
father.
Love
And
and blessing.
for Heavenly Parent
Thank
and
you
true
for
parents, we pray
this
for true father.
reading of Mother's
We pray.
Memoir this morning,
We
and
pray, Heavenly Parent and true parent, because true
how
father is looking
you
over us,
protected
watching over us, helping us.
them all three generations
At this
as
time,
they
Heavenly Parent and
pay
true
their
parent,
way
we pray for
in
true mother
treacherous
at this
territory,
time. We
going
pray
from
for her long
north
life,
to
her good
south,
health, her
going from
energy, her strength at this
Pyongyang to Seoul.
We pray, Heavenly Parent and true parent, for
Such
Joe
a
one
dangerous
more husband
situation
and families
approaching
at
the
this
border
time.
from both
Parent
sides,
true.
from the North
They took
Korean
good care of
troops
true mother.
preventing them
We
from
pray
going
for
south, and from the
Joe
South
one more
Korean
son.
worried that they were North Korean spies or
Heavenly Parent and true parent, we pray for
so
her son and families.
thank you to those
They took good care of
whose hearts were touched and who helped
true mother
true
this
mother,
time. Heavenly
her mother
Parent
and
and true parent, we
grandmother
pray for
safely
Joe one more and her
make it
son
to the
and
south.
family. We pray for Damon and
Parent, we thank you
her husband and
for
families at this
love and
time.
blessing.
Damon
Thank
and
you for
Champion.
our true
We
father,
pray for her. Heavenly Parent and true
in
parent, we
his
pray
young age,
all
really
brothers and
sought
sisters
you out and sought
at this
our
time
help.
supporting true mother, taking
I'm
care of
sure that
us.
was a very
Pray,
similar
Heavenly Parent and true
reality
parent,
also
yo
for
Jinem,
Jesus.
young and him and family, and I pray for young Jinem in the Shanty
And sought you out and
family
received
on earth.
answers.
Pray, Heavenly
I'm sure
Parent, for true parents.
Moses or somebody from the Old
We pray we can
Testament
unite with true mother, love her,
shared with him
so much
his
help
mission,
her,
his purpose,
I could do her at the time.
his
We pray, Heavenly
journey.
Parent, true parent, true mother.
What
We pray,
Jesus
Heavenly
did
Parent, true
was
parent, every
just
brother and
human
sister
being
on the
that
prayer line.
voluntarily
Prayer we
gave
pray
his life
for
for the
their
sake of humanity. He knew there was
families
another
at this time.
road
Pray
and
for
another
their good
course
health,
that
energy, and strength
available
at
to
this
him,
time.
but
Heavenly
that
Parent,
time
we
you
pray for
guided him to
every brother and
accept
sister
for the
remember
crucifixion
Sister Kathleen
because
for her
you
redemption.
knew that was the way the best
For
could be won, the best could be done at that
every
time.
brother and sister at this time.
So we thank you for Jesus, whose love and heart touched so many
Yeah.
millions of people around the world down
Lord,
through
we pray
the
every
last 2,000 years.
all
I could see that personally in my own family, especially through my mother,
missionaries at this
who
time. We pray for
believed in you, believed in Jesus,
moments. We pray for
really prayed and prayed and sought
pray for
guidance,
we pray
also in
Reverend
encouragement and
Sebastian. We pray
comfort
for
from you concerning
Stephen. We
all
pray
of our
for
family,
Catherine. We pray for Catherine Mel and
mine
Stephen.
surviving soon.
We pray for
Thank you for our mother, how hard she worked
our true
to
mother,
bake, to
and
clean
every parent and true
the
parent.
whole household.
Our child,
We, maybe as young people, didn't really
for the country mother, true
appreciate
mother
or
gave us at
understand
this
what she
time.
did enough
And we're grateful for
to
this
a parent.
every
Thank you for
pray
her
Heavenly
very
Parent and
generous mother's heart. And I absolutely believe that
the missionaries
her,
of the
on
sea.
her
We pray
conditions and her foundation, that our
for
family members could meet with the Lord at the
Heavenly
second advent, we could meet the Messiah
USA
and
missionary. We pray for
understand
the Channel Book missionaries. We pray for the GPA missionaries.
again.
For
Thank
our
you for
young
true
true
father
mother.
for
Pray
incredible
for the
effort
work
he
that is
made
happening in Queen
beginning
Church.
in
Heavenly Parent and true
1936
parent. We pray for the
all the
work
way
that
up
Jeff
to
Church
1960
April
when he
Michelle
received
and
true mother, when you guided him to
Sado
receive
and
true mother.
Vilma
We're very
and
grateful
Federals,
that this was
Waldo.
accomplished, that the marriage
Last
plan
is
was
Dr. Heath,
fulfilled
Dr.
and
Donia, Dr. Laura,
finally sealed
Maureen,
7 years
Mother,
later
and
in
Brian. We
1968
pray for
when True Parents established
Mania
your day, God's day.
Anthony Makatante
Thank you for their
Jason
perseverance. Thank you for Korea.
Massachusetts
To provide the environment for all of these amazing things to happen, to occur.
James McCoy
Thank you for the
Johan
revelation
Pray
of
for
the
all our
divine
brothers and
principles.
sisters at this
John
time.
McKenna
Help
Explains,
them,
John
particularly explains
energy
McGuire
and
the fall, the
strength,
Peter
tragedy of
and
the
help
human
them at
fall, and
this
how
Peter
time.
human
Please help them.
began
Heavenly
begin
Parent,
to
true
John
parent,
dominated
for
McGuire
by evil,
John
especially at the
number one,
beginning of history,
for the
Henry
safety of
so
its
dominated
parents and
by
its
evil.
family. Number two,
But we had a
for
spark of original
protection
nature
and family,
remaining as a
watch
result
out.
of,
Number three,
because of the
to
fall, was a spark
people,
remaining
especially
which you
young
could
people, have
work
to
with
real church growth. Number four,
and blow on to
and a
blow on,
heaven
develop and
unified
become bigger and bigger
Korea.
over the
Number five, to
centuries
overcome our
through the law
protecting our world.
and then through love.
To realize the heavenly unified God.
So we are now in the
Heavenly
completed
Parent and
ultimate
true parent,
age.
we pray for
True parents have fulfilled all that they
for procedure today.
were to do.
Doctor, we pray for her and pray for her family.
Mother has announced the
Pray for
beginning
her
of
and
the
her
kingdom
family.
of heaven on
Let all
earth.
go well with her.
So we
Heavenly
pray
Parent and
that we
true
can
parent,
work
we pray
towards
for
that, that more
Patrick
and
and
more people
Phoebe.
can come to
Pastor
understand
Strana, you may
that
hear
you have
we pray, Heavenly Parent, and true parent,
done many things.
his wife, Jean, and family,
Changed the
whether
direction
it's
of
help
the
them
world.
to be the leader to the free world after.
One of those
We pray
amazing
for
events was America,
VP Harris, our
in
Pentagon family,
Washington
that they're the leaders of
Valley
the
in
free world. Help them to
1976.
protest.
All
We
the
pray
stuff
for
that
Mike
was
Johnson and family
a
left
point in
behind. We
history.
pray for the senators and
He could
congressmen.
speak
We pray for America this time so that
and
America can stand up and take our
of the
war. We pray for the
dominant
United States
country
of
in the
America,
world,
Heavenly Parent,
the
and
USA at that
pray
time.
for the war between
So that
Hamas
would
and
the
Israel
same
and
as if
the
Jesus
war
had
between
spoken
Israel
at the
and Hamas
Colosseum in
come to an
Rome.
end. We pray for President Biden as
To
he
his
to
faith had allowed him
PM
to
and
support him
then
and
yeah,
to bring
we
him that
pray for
far.
President Biden, we pray for
Sadly,
President
that was
Biden, we
not the
pray for
case.
our brothers and sisters in this
Finally,
prayer line. We pray that we
Father,
can love each other,
your
help each
mother
other,
reached
serve each
that
other, give
point
to each
in
other. We pray for our
1976
brothers and
here in
sisters who
America.
are sick
We're
and
grateful
suffering
for
at this
that.
time.
We're
We pray
grateful
for our
that
brothers and sisters who are
America
sick and
was able
suffering
to,
at this
the
time.
host
We
true
pray that we
parents,
can fulfill, that we can
true
bring
parents were able
that
to
we can
Adieu.
오미주고 너주고 일백번고 저주고 백거리진도대요 넋이라도 힘없고 임형하니 변탄치 가실 줄이 있으랴 임형하니 변탄치 가실 줄이 있으랴.
Janjian, Jampomanimge, Kyungbae. Haro. Now I have 3 cheers of Okmanse.
경구의 하옵신 하늘 부모님, 억만세. 승리 하옵신 전진 참부모님, 억만세. Victory for the Chunchman residents prayer, 억만세.
Thank you, everybody. Even little Freddie's doing Okmanse.
Is that right? Yeah, Freddie. Got it.
Do we have any announcements today?
Well, I can report that last night we had some attendees to the providential matching update. So we've been kind of little to no people have been, well, I guess no one has been coming for the last few weeks, but Mama Green came and Freddie and Tina came, so I was very happy. And don't forget about it. It's a good chance to have some kind of make progress. We don't have to make big leaps. We can make small progress every week. A little bit of a nudge, help one couple or help one person find their spouse. May not seem like much every week, but if we're consistent, huge miracles will happen. So I encourage everyone to attend. I know that there's so many Zoom calls now, right? We're every morning, every evening, but I don't know what else to say. It was a very, very good experience last night.
Well, definitely it was a miracle right here.
Yep. Didn't take forever, but it did take consistent every weekly progress. Progress.
Well, brothers and sisters, the rain is gonna stop. It's gonna stop today.
Hallelujah.
Hope you all got through last night okay, but I was scared. I was laying in bed scared. The wind of the trees, the thunder, lightning.
I was trying to put Emika to sleep, and then like the sunroof kept blowing. It looked like it was gonna blow off. It was so hard. Emika just got back up, was looking at what was that sound?
So have a wonderful day, everybody.
All right, just one quick thing. I think Queen's Church has initiated a 7-day prayer for Sister Nadine's session. I don't know if the announcement was made. Okay, so it is an individual prayer for 7 days, as her Sunwa ceremony is this coming Saturday. And also for those who know her, who can make it to be there. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
So there's a prayer vigil happening tonight or not?
Yeah, it's individual prayer.
Individual prayer.
Okay, thank you.
From the list.
I think you can find information for the Sonwa or the funeral on the Facebook. Davetta Morgan, if you type in Davetta Morgan, and then she has been a good friend of hers, and the announcement is right there, the location. It's a beautiful picture of her.
Thank you.
Facebook.
Okay. This coming Saturday? Saturday? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, family. Have a good day. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you. Bless you. Amen.
Bye, Freddie. Bye, Freddie.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Freddie.
See you tomorrow.
See you tonight.
Oh, Ayako-san, tonight. Ayako's going to talk tonight. It'll be great.
Oh, and Freddie's going to join too?
What is it?
Is Freddie going to join you tonight?
Well, I was
Freddie
saying,
No, they'll be sleeping. But
I was saying see you tomorrow to Freddie.
Yeah,
oh, see, I'm Freddie.
When you said tonight, I was like, oh, he's going
Bye, Freddie.
Bye-bye.
He moves too much. I can't hold it. He's so heavy. So I have to put on a high chair.
That was a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Gosh, he's so
Thank you
quiet.
very much. Okay.
Looks like a little king. King Fred.
The center.
Yeah.
My husband can take care of him too. So that's
Little Wonka.
release my heaviness.